Hello, welcome. It's a Saturday night special edition. We're going into overtime here to continue this series about leaders' recreation, about really us coming in and recreating from within. When we're faced with a problem, when we're faced with a challenging environment, it's about taking stock of where we're at and then moving forward. If we stay stuck, if we stay where we're at, we're going to get the same results. A quote I came across a couple days ago that I think really talks to this is when you give up on your dreams, you get half-finished dreams and a vision and a half-finished life. Well, leaders speak last is day five's focus, today's focus. And it's really, we talked about recreation, then we talked about climbing to get to that next level, to bring the team with you. It's to overcome the obstacles in your path. And yesterday we talked about I need you. Leaders lead with I need you. Well, leaders need to speak last. How many times have you gone into a meeting and figured out that the leader already, the person that was facilitating, the person who called that meeting, had already figured out which path they wanted. They just wanted to make sure that everybody signed off that that was the right buy-in, or that's the right path, that's the right direction that we should be going. Even if it wasn't, they wanted confirmation that they've picked the right answer. Well, that's a pretty difficult thing to do for the rest of the team because they don't know what decision-making process the leader has gone through to get to that decision, why they're so committed to that path, and yet we fail. We fail the team, we fail the organization, we fail to go and lead from last. Simon Sinek recently indicated, we are charged all our lives with listening. Leaders listen. People listen. You need to listen. You need to listen. You need to listen. That's what we keep telling anywhere from people, children, people that are quite young, right, to today, to seniors. You need to listen to me. Listen to me. Listen to me. What happens? We're putting our own opinions forward because we get so caught up in needing to listen that we're agreeing, we'll say, yes, I agree with that, yes. Even though you haven't even heard what the person has to say, you're already, oh yes, I understand. Well, that's great, but it interrupts the conversation. We really need, as leaders, to speak last, to be able to, for that other person that we're talking with, to give out their story, give out their problem, lay it out, and then say, okay, given this is problem, what are the possible options that we have? What are the alternatives that we have? What are available to solve that problem? And sometimes that problem is not the problem. There is something deeper. It's been said that we need to go 3 or 5 times and ask why. If we've defined a problem, ask why. Why is that the problem? We'll find out there's another problem underneath. Because that problem that was first identified is an effect. It's not the cause. It's not the base cause, the underlying cause. We have to go deeper. Well, if we're a leader and we speak first and we say, this is what I've determined and I want you to sign off on this option, we don't know if that's the problem. We each have our perceived reality of what the problems are. How many programs, if you watch TV or you watch any programs or you watch what's going on, a sports game, and you say, oh, that's the problem. Yeah, right there. If so-and-so did this, that would have happened. That wouldn't happen if they had focused on that part. But what was happening around on the field? What happened on that throw? What happened if it's baseball, at the plate, what was that person thinking? Were they thinking about that pitch coming in, or were they thinking about their mechanics? Were they thinking about how they just want to hit it hard and they missed the ball and killed the game because they didn't watch what they were doing, didn't focus in, didn't take the right stance, left too early through the swing, whatever that might be, too late, too high, too low? Was it because they were distracted by something down the field? So it's really easy to say, this is the problem. And if we're working in an environment that we're looking to change, to grow, to take the person to the next level, to take the group to the next level, sometimes we need to take a stance of, hi, John, tell me your story. And just sit there and listen to John. And after John has completed his story, you can ask, is there anything else? You don't want to create a dialogue that stumps, that stops, that prevents the person from having told their story, told their problem, gotten the problem on the table, figure out what the solutions are, evaluated the solutions as a group. So team dynamics is important. Team dynamics leads us to speak last because we want everybody else in the group to come and talk and provide input, educated input, knowledgeable input, to be able to evaluate it and then say, okay, does everyone in the group agree with this? Okay, then that's where we're going to go. And then we're going to implement it, and then we're going to evaluate it. So when we, butt heads, or we interrupt, or we overstep another person, then we're happing. That's funny. We're stopping the conversation. We're preventing that flow going forward. We have to be firm in our unwillingness to let it fail. We have to be persistent. We have to have trust. We have to show respect. In one of my former employers, they actually spent time as a senior leadership team of a set of rules about how they were going to engage with each other. There was, I believe, a series of 7 items, but one of them was to let the other person talk. We're going to sit and listen to those at the table. We're not going to have side conversations. We're not going to speak over the person trying to speak. It's a hard thing to do because some people really need to talk. Some people are extroverted and need to put all their thoughts out so that they can hear them, so that others can hear them. And then that forces something else to happen. It prevents people from talking because the person that's talking just talks and talks and talks and talks and talks. Well, what happens? The other people at the table no longer say, I have a voice. Everybody talks. No one's listening. Well, nobody's speaking last. Everybody wants to get their word in first. And then they'll agree to be able to say, oh, yeah, that's really good, yeah, and not say anything else, not add any more value, or challenge that person. So leaders, the person of highest authority in that room, or highest position, needs to speak the last. They have to commit to not nodding, not going along and interrupting, Not saying, oh, that was a great point, I like that point, because then it prevents other points from being raised. How many organizational meetings, business meetings, just team meetings, family meetings do we go through where we then say, oh, that's a great idea. We have to provide recognition and pat on the back for somebody coming up with a great idea. Why not let the group say, that's a great idea? Why is the leader saying that's a great idea? Well, the leader's trying to motivate and keep the group happy, but they're doing it at a win-lose. Somebody else in the group is going to be disadvantaged. I've seen this many times. I've seen this in meetings that I've been at. I've seen this in conversations through the eyes of others. Everybody walks out saying, oh yes, we had a great meeting, but no one's added any value because all they did was check off the leader's vote. And then little by little, people are discouraged, people are dissatisfied, and they say this organization no longer meets my needs. It's not working for me. I just pulled out a book. I was in my storage, and it's about leadership effectiveness training by Dr. Thomas Gordon. It's 1977. It's a long time ago. I got this book, bought it, and I looked at it a little bit a long time ago. Probably it was 1980-ish when I received it, when I had been granted it as part of a course on supervision. And I'm looking at some of the chapters today. Today I'm looking back at that book and comparing it to other things of newer ilk, of newer verbiage, newer thoughts. Leadership hasn't been around for much, at least understood as a science, as a skill, as the ability to serve, of leaders speaking last for very long. Now, some of it has been generated over time, but it was never formally studied. Now it is. And it's funny, it's still 40 years later, we're still talking about, in this book, 40 years ago, we're talking about how to have an effective meeting. What's today's topics trending? How to have an effective meeting. Meetings aren't working. Organizations are breaking down because of dysfunctional meetings. Why? Because leaders still don't know how to shut up. They can't sit back and let the conversation go. How many meetings have you had where a consultant was brought in for your group? Because there's something wrong that we need to resolve. There's some new path, or we need to make the team more effective. And what happens to that leader? Well, I better not be in that meeting because people won't be able to speak up because they'll be afraid of me. So that leader never comes in, or might kick it off and then say, well, the consultant will take you through all this and I'll check back at the end. Well, sometimes that works. More often than not, that leader will take it and say, well, I knew there was, they didn't get along on this, or, and nothing changes. Because the leader doesn't look at himself or herself and say, how do I change what I'm doing to serve my team better? If they have this observation about why it's not working, or this project not working, what did I do that affected that? What did I do that provided less input, less effectiveness? See, when the leader speaks last, then they have the whole knowledge of everything else in that room. And they have people being able to speak effectively, speak forwardly, speak to seek a solution as a group. They're not checking off someone's preconceived notion of what the solution is, let alone what the cause is. They are seeking how to recreate, how to move forward as a team. Now, some of these ideas, you can say, well, yeah, we tried this and it doesn't work. But there's another way to do this. And that is to make sure that everyone's committed to make sure that it's not failing. It's not going to fail. We're going to make sure that this process works. We're going to make sure that everyone has a voice that speaks effectively on this topic of bringing solutions, of bringing a way forward. No one is going to get their hands behind and say, well, John spoke, and I know John is great. Jack is great. Jack is great. And so I'm going to vote with Jack. It's not about voting. It's about, is this the best solution that we need to recreate the process, to evolve the process, to move the process to the next level and beyond, to meet the future needs of our clients? Walt Disney said that whenever he got on a ride, he would always look for how he could make it better. As leaders, if we are speaking first, if our clients are not speaking and telling us, if our employees, our team members are not speaking first, how are we going to know how to make it better? We need to look at it. We may have some ideas that we want to bring out, but we shouldn't be the first to speak. We should get the group that's responsible for it, the team, the tribe, the family, the organization, the community unit, the volunteers, to come and say, how can it be done better? Okay, if we move this here and we move that, yeah, that's great. That's you don't have to decide and take this through days and days of activities sometimes to get to the answer. It may take a few minutes. Sometimes it needs a retreat. Sometimes it needs an off-site. What is it that we're doing to speak last? If we are respecting the people on our team and trusting them and empowering them to say, hey, you have as much ownership in this as I do. Maybe more, because you're doing the work. I have the idea, I have the vision, I have the half-finished life that I want to complete. Help me. Help us as a group take this further. There's always going to be conflict. There's always going to be a difference of opinion. It's okay. We're unique, remember? 1 in 400 trillion? We are unique. And as such, we're going to have different ideas. But if we respect each other, we trust each other, and we're not limiting the others in that room to talk. Some people may be slower. Some are going to be more on the quiet side. Some are going to need to think what is being said and go through a process on their own. Keep them involved. And as leaders, we are called to speak last. Let the story be told. Let the problem, the causes, all be brought forward. The options brought forward. How are we going to measure, evaluate, how we're going to implement this change? And then evaluate the change after it's been implemented to see if it is getting closer to our goal, if we are seeing improvement. Don't forget, we need to pivot. We need to be able to change course. That's the whole purpose of recreation. of evolution, of moving forward as a team, as a group, as an individual in your life, in your home life, in your personal development. You need to move forward, and as such, you need the wisdom of others. And you don't want to go in and say, hey, inner circle, this is what I'm thinking, this is the result, and boom, this is what I'm doing. And then, well, I don't care what you say, I don't care what objections you have to that or what additionally I'm going through with this. You're not doing the justice to the wisdom of the people in the room, the higher mind that's in the room. You know, it's not the individual people, it's the combined people, it's the combined group, the combined mind to come up with something that will go and transcend, to evolve that product, to evolve the service, to evolve what we do. I know this. I know this works. Through my life, through my experiences, through my team, through the efforts that I have in work, in home, in personal, in social, this works the world over. In the case studies and the examples that continue to flow, when things work well, it's because leaders are speaking last. But we're too often ready to say, oh yeah, I agree with that, or no, I don't agree with that. Instead of saying, speak, please share, please convey. I will have a question after you're completed, but it's to go deeper. It's to bring out every possible component of that cause, of that conflict, of that need to evolve forward. Well, on the special Saturday night edition, I thank you. Tomorrow's day 6. We'll try to do this a little earlier so that you know what's going to be covered. But this is a series of 7 on how leaders, on how us as people, as individuals, as humans, who are working together towards some problem, towards some goal, to bring a resolution. Our goal shouldn't be a particular mark. It should be to pass through that mark and beyond. Too often I see goals in organization and people aim for the goal and they're thinking, geez, we needed to get this done by June 30th. Oh, June 29th, we made the goal. Barely. Celebrate. Yes, celebrate. Celebrate all the work. But the goal shouldn't be the goal. The goal should have been much further beyond. That was just a marker. That was just the first step to get to. We don't put all the effort in up front and then at the last minute. The last minute, then we're forced into a room where the leader says, here's what we're going to do. I hope everybody buys in. And then we're left with no choice but to accept. Wouldn't this world be much better if we were able to allow to just create the situation, create the environment for everyone to come together, for the leader of that group, the final deciding factor, to say, the group has decided this. Does the group agree? Remember, I just have the vision, but it's all of us together to need to go and reach that goal. Be well. Enjoy this remainder of this weekend, and we'll see you soon on a wonderful tomorrow, right? Day 6 of this series. Be well, do good things, and keep in touch. Please comment, please share, please like. Please give this to another person who needs this. That's what you can do for me. So please speak. I want to hear from you. I can help. I'm Chief Leadership Thought Partner, and I will help you reach your goals in a more structured way, in a more customized way, I've had great success. I've touched significance, and I can see significance in your life coming to be. Be well, and see you soon.